Good morning. We salute you, Dr. Reed, and unlock inside you for this historic and momentous occasion. Your persistence, your prayers, um, and the providence of God has showed his blessings upon you and this initiative. And we pray that you will continue to prosper and have the favor of the Lord in all of your endeavors. Let us pray. God, we thank you for this day, for this is a day that you have made, and we are rejoicing and we are glad in it. We thank you for Dr. Reed, and we thank you for the heart that you've given her for the hurting, for the willingness to sacrifice and to serve, to help those who are less fortunate, those who are in need, those who have not found purpose in life or need to regain purpose in life. I pray your blessings upon not only this facility, but all the staff, the administrators, the volunteers, the donors, the constituents, but also their immediate and extended families that will find refuge and safety and strength in this place. Let it not just be a place of programs, let it not just be a place of counseling or instruction, but God, let it be a place where those who come in may find peace, tranquility, safety. Let them find serenity. Let them find hope. Let them find a new lease on life. I pray, God, that every need will be met, every bill will be paid. God, I pray, Lord, that you will send resources, that you will send people who will volunteer to even do whatever needed work is for the facility, for renovations and upgrades and upkeeps. God, I pray, oh God, that you will bestow favor. Let it be a beacon in the community. Let it be a shining star in the community. And let it not be for any individual's glory or acclaim, but God, let all glory be to you, that you be glorified and the people be edified. For we thank you for this prayer. It's in Jesus' name I ask. Amen.
Hello, my name is Victor Vonico Johnson. I'm the founder of Be the Victor Speaker Academy and Consulting. And it is with great pleasure that I recommend the services of Dr. Doreen Letsom. I've known Dr. Doreen for about 6 or 7 years now, and I have watched her grow as a professional and be able to expand on her resources to help really a lot of people that have dealt with psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse. A very serious situation, and it is something that I've watched her put into work, and as somebody that has consulted me as far as helping some of my clients and helping the people that I serve so that I could better recognize that trauma. And if you are an attorney out there, a judge, or someone who runs a business, I highly, highly recommend that you reach out to Dr. Doreen, especially if you're in the South Carolina market, because she has worked in that market nearly 30 years helping to consult on this exact topic. She has a great personality. She is a very, very passionate leader. She's somebody who communicates effectively and dynamically, and she truly is someone you can trust. She cares, and she's there to ensure that not only you, if you are dealing with psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse, but if you are an attorney who is representing someone in that space, or a judge that is fighting these cases, or you're seeing these cases coming, you're not really sure how to recognize it, please reach out to Dr. Doreen. She is somebody who you can, bring on as a resource for you to help your legal team, to help your staff, and I highly recommend that you reach out to her for that consulting. Please, please, please make sure that you reach out to Dr. Doreen Letsom if you are someone who is serving those that are dealing with psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse. Have a great day.
Welcome to Psychological Incarceration Unlocked. My name is Dr. Doreen Letsom. Such an honor to join you today. as we do a deep dive into psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse. Welcome, attorneys, judges, government officials, and companies that are ready to recognize psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse that is not yet in statute, but is destroying lives. Welcome to Psychological Incarceration Unlocked Luncheon. We have our very special guest here, Mr. Zoe. He's going to tell you a little bit about himself, his business, and how he consults and empowers professionals just like you. Zoe, we welcome you to Psychological Incarceration Unlocked. Such an honor to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And for one, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for having me. And it's been a pleasure getting to know you, getting to know more about your passion, more about your movement, more about who you are, and most importantly, more about who you serve, which are those young women, those individuals who have experienced psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse. It's something that I have lived, I have seen firsthand, well, not firsthand, but secondhand, excuse me, but lived through and recognize the need. So I want to exalt you and say much respect to you for following through with your passion. It's very important. As you mentioned, my name is Alonzo Avents. Most people just call me Zoe, so feel free to reach out and call me Zoe. But what I do is I do consulting. And primarily I use leverage my skills and my expertise in order to help small and medium businesses and government organizations to overcome what we call people challenges. What are people challenges? We're talking about personality differences, managing conflict, navigating communication, unlocking and improving your own performance and self-awareness, and overcome and bridge those gaps that are really holding us back. And as we develop personally as leaders, right, as just wherever you are in life, then we can show up better for wherever we may be and wherever we intend to go. So we help businesses scale through overcoming those challenges, and we also help them with role alignment, with personnel, and also talent acquisition, with hiring the right person and putting them in the right position. And the tool we leverage the flight assessment to do so. That's just part of what we do, but we leverage the flight assessment. And as getting to know Dr. Doreen Letsom and being able to get to know her mission more effectively, and also being able to help her in her self-awareness and taking her through what the flight assessment was, we saw the benefit add, or Dr. Doreen's vision was seeing the benefit add and how the flight assessment and this type of consulting or coaching can help people in unlocking what's really inside of them and navigate their experience of domestic abuse due to psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse, and begin the healing journey. Because all healing journeys the cornerstone is awareness. They begin in awareness. So it's very important to recognize who you are, how you show up, and the strengths and limitations that you may have, so that you can start that journey and start really making a difference in your life and others. Yep. So that is a little bit about myself, and it has been great to get to, like I said, get to know yourself more, Dr. Doreen, and to help you in your mission, help you in your passion.
Well, absolutely. And actually, Zoe, you're helping in this context 2.2 women that are impacted as we speak right now here in the United States of America, that are impacted right now as we speak due to psychological incarceration. And this is something that we're going to break down even by our state here in the state of South Carolina. That equates to 1 in 4 women. So on a national scale, we have 2.2 million women that are right now, as we speak, regardless of their title, regardless of their position, regardless of their ethnic background, regardless of their family dynamic, regardless of their career or their 5 to 9 figure income. Right now, as we speak, and I will even also to bring to our attention, regardless of where they're going into worship, but specifically in a Christian context, we are looking at right now, as we speak, Zoe, at a national level, 2.2 million women. When we are examined and dissect what's happening here in the state of South Carolina, this actually equates to 1 in 4 women, which breaks down even the further to help us have awareness, as you alluded to, that every 24 minutes, a woman is being impacted by psychological incarceration in the context of a male intimate partner relationship with a female intimate partner. That is the context of how we address psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse. Now, when we look at this even further, with these national statistics, 2.2 million women impacted due to psychological incarceration, and because of the domestic abuse. When we look at that even further into the 1 in 4 here in the state of South Carolina, then taking a deeper dive into 24 minutes, let's go even deeper to some of the results, the manifestations that we see in women that are impacted by psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse. We have in that 1 in 4 zone, 47% of women that will, without a doubt, have a higher risk of heart disease. So I'm going to pause there and allow you to go through the unlocking process, which is some critical thinking that you've heard, that information that you probably have not heard before, but you did have some type of experience that you alluded to help you connect the dots, which will help you unlock psychological incarceration. Zoe, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, one, the numbers are staggering, and the statistic itself is alarming. And, you know, in conversation with you, you've also educated me on the number of, the percentage of women who result in basically in death or dying from the same domestic partner or the same scenario. And it's alarming. And respect to you, because something needs to be done. Something has to be done about it. And what comes to mind for me is it's amazing that your real aim, your chief aim, is to address the problem or to address the challenge before it actually manifests. And I believe that's a beautiful thing, because way too often our justice system, law, focuses on that we're more reactive in nature. It's more reactive in nature. So after something happens, then it's a fact finding and, conviction and those sorts of things. Whereas when you get ahead of it, you can prevent the thing from happening. So I think much respect to your work and to your passion. And those numbers to me it's real. It's real. Now, I'll be honest, 1 in 4 I was not aware of. And it has you look at who you interact with on a day-to-day basis differently. It has you to think, or has me to think, I wonder if there's or maybe that's why they respond this way or behave this way. Or maybe that's why this happens or that. Or maybe that's why they said this, right? Because with that awareness, once your mind expands, it can't go back. So to have that new lens now, to be able to view people a little differently, it's eye-opening, to say the least. Yeah.
Zoe, I want to thank you for your transparency as you're going through the unlocking process. And this is why this platform is very important. It is the catalyst to awareness. It is the catalyst to education. It is a catalyst to advocacy. As a psychological incarceration specialist, that is part of me undergirding. Divine Connection Network Association is undergirding this work here in the state of South Carolina. It's not just limited to the state of South Carolina, but obviously if I live here and I reside here, I'm already invested here.
Right.
And as you mentioned, I see these women all the time. It's everywhere I go. It's like I'm a magnet. The very elite, what we think as elite, we think was no way, no how this particular person is impacted. But we must understand that we have to shatter these misconceptions to start the unlocking process. We have to understand psychologically incarceration unlocked. Psychological incarceration unlocked, it starts with understanding that shattering the misconceptions is very important, because if we automatically have a preconceived misconception, we're going to resist any other type of awareness, because we've already accepted what we thought to be true. And that's part of my job as a psychological incarceration specialist and consultant, working specifically with attorneys and judges, government officials, and companies, is to really help them unlock what's inside you. The awareness may be there, but when we have these conversations, sometimes things begin to unlock, and then you begin to realize, just as you literally did in real time, you said, now that I hear, you were made aware, you was able to connect the dot to say, I didn't know that it was actually 1 and 4. Then you went from there and you said, well, really, it's every person. If I look at someone where I work in my consulting firm, those that you are consulting, especially as it pertains to female women that are by statistic already impacted by psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse, it allows you to be in a better position as a business owner, as a CEO of Wise Consulting. And, you're doing the CEO as a team, and, you have that hashtag Wise Consulting. It's helping you narrow in that, okay, I could actually be serving someone that is now impacted, that is right now being impacted. No matter if it's another CEO, I know you work with a lot of businesses and government officials yourself. So regardless of looking at the title of someone, or the financial backing of someone, or the prestige of someone, make no mistake that women are suffering in silence from the C-suite down, from down to the C-suite. And to make it even more disturbing, Christian women are building businesses at a rapid rate, but simultaneously we're suffering in silence, because we're going to, most of the time, we are the ones in the church house. So we have 71% of Christian women impacted. So we have, 70% of Christian women impacted, and then we have a 71% homicide rate here in the state of South Carolina. So those correlations are not happenstance. So right. We're going to church seeking, we're using our faith to try to heal, but yet we have unresolved trauma because we're not even aware of what we're in, why we're in it, and how to get out. Yeah. So I'm gonna pause there and let you respond to that, because I know that was a lot, and I'm guiding you through this unlocking process, because we have to look at each detail. This work is very detail oriented. It's very problem solving oriented, and all of that starts with these critical thinking moments, which is the unlocking process, which is why the platform was called Psychological Incarceration Unlocked. It cannot be locked as a whole. You have to go, each piece has to be unlocked. It has to go, you have to go through that unlocking process to really grasp even what is happening before you even dissect it to become aware. Yeah.
So the trauma piece really stands out to me. It really does. And the reason is because of, in developing my own personal self-awareness and being able to re-examine my own life experiences and peel back those layers, as you mentioned, peel back piece by piece, layer by layer. You dig deeper and deeper and deeper. And one of the things we really seek to do when I'm coaching an A-team consultant and when I'm consulting as well is root causal analysis. It's really figuring out or utilizing a system to identify the root cause of whatever behavior or a fruit is, whatever the terminology is that is most suitable for, for your profession, whether it be a fruit or a behavior or an outcome or a result. It all stems from us, how we are, who we are, and things that are deep rooted in us. And sometimes we're unconscious of. So when a person experiences trauma and how deeply it affects them as a person and can really shift them and change not just their behavior, but their view and perspective of life. Once that's happened for a period of time, it takes a while for a person to really recognize how vast those impacts have been on their life. So when you have someone like yourself who can help to bring that awareness to really look at themselves, their behaviors, their experience, right? Like what really happened, what was done to them as well, and really look at it with a magnifying glass and get it in detail and start to see, oh, wow, I never even realized, or the thought, it never dawned on me that A, B, C, X, Y, Z, or I was never able to see this, or I never really connected that, or I knew this, but I didn't know it was doing this on the back end. So that piece, that trauma piece really stuck out to me. And what I love as well is utilizing third-party tools. And the reason I like third-party tools now is because sometimes it's hard to see yourself. And that's why I encourage, and if you're listening to, because 1 in 4 is a staggering number. So if you're listening to this or if you're watching this interview and you have been impacted, seek help, seek professional help. There's no shame in reaching out to Dr. Doreen. There's no shame in reaching out to someone who's local to you so you can find out or start to begin the process of, even if it's just discovery, even if it's just starting with discovery, it's important to reach out, but to really recognize that piece, to have the awareness of it, and then make a shift. Because sometimes it's hard to see ourselves, right? So to help or have a professional that can really guide us through that process, help us navigate the scenario. And if you're still in the same circumstances, it needs to be done with care, with delicacy, because we know,
Very, very
yeah,
care.
yeah,
Yes, very,
because those
very care.
scenarios are,
Thank
they're
you.
dangerous. Yeah, they're
They're very
dangerous.
dangerous. Thank you. And
Yeah.
I really appreciate you saying that and that you recognize that. And I'm just going to interject because, we have people around the world, obviously here on LinkedIn, that are watching. And I just want to really underline and highlight what you just said. I'm going to even ask you to repeat it because when we're talking about in the context of a female intimate partner relationship, the situation with psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse, when a woman makes a decision to leave, he knows you're going to leave. So the situation can become very vital very quickly, and you cannot just up and leave. This is not how this works. Devising a safety plan, devising legality, it's so many different steps. It is a very sophisticated deployment out of the situation. So we want to make sure that we're understanding and giving resources to where you are. You can use the number that is designated for. And at that point, we do not have a psychological incarceration hotline, but we do have a national domestic violence hotline. And to clarify what I'm saying, psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse is the precursor before the manifestation, the full-blown manifestation of what you see physically, which we all know is domestic violence. So you can call the 1-800 number that is available to you for domestic violence wherever you are, and you can let them know you have a trained, trauma-informed person that is available to you nationally, regardless of where you are. And there's even an international number because this affects nations. This does not just affect South Carolina. I'm not limited to South Carolina, but as I said, this is where I live. This is where I work. Of course, we travel to other states and so forth. but this is my heart for South Carolina, see, because we've been dealing with it for 20 years. We rank number 6 in the nation. And so that's been going on for 20 years. And that's more disturbing than any other ranking within the 50 states of the United States. So I'm going to let Zoe say that to you again, because it also, psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse impacts men. 1 in 7 men are impacted. Zoe, I don't know if you realize that as well.
No,
so 1 in 7 men that you're consulting in your firm, 18 consulting firm, you please be conscious that 1 in 7. So literally 1 in 7 are being impacted. So let's just go over that number again. Then I'm going to let you reinstate the warning, the caution. This is very serious. This is why having a psychological incarceration specialist as an attorney, as a judge, as a company, as a CEO, you like you've just said, you've learned so much from what we do at Divine Connection Network Association. You just wasn't aware, and you've been in business for years. So imagine those 1 in 4 women that you could have said, you may need to, or just say, are you safe? These are some resources or anything like that. And now you're learning that 1 in 7 of the men that you've worked with for all of these times, for decades of doing what you've been doing, have been impacted. So we really want to understand that this situation is very serious. We want you to take care. Use the domestic violence hotline at 1-800 number, and it's on Google if you are safe enough to Google it on your phone. And it does give you a quick exit from your phone so that you're not traced. So we don't have time today to go through these different methodologies that a male intimate partner uses against a female intimate partner, nor do we have time to go into the deep dive of the different methodologies and the different strategies and different tactics that a female intimate partner uses against a male. So I'm going to stop there and let you respond. And then, of course, first responding, did you understand that it's 1 in 7 men that are impacted? Number 2, give that warning again. And number 3, you have a question for me, and then we'll wrap up.
All right. So the warning is caution, caution, caution. And I know it may not, just from what I've seen firsthand, well, I say firsthand, but what I've witnessed with people who are going through domestic abuse challenges, meaning it is already manifested. So the psychological incarceration has already been done, and the domestic abuse has manifested. I've seen even in those scenarios where I'm gonna speak to women because that's what I've witnessed. They're afraid and they're scared, and then there's also a level of hope that it will still work out. And there's a lot of different mixed emotions and feelings and things involved. And my heart goes out and I say, use caution, use your discretion, use a significant amount of care when you're working through getting yourself, and if your children are involved, your children as well, out of the scenario. And just make sure you use all the discretion that you need, and reach out to Dr. Doreen so she can give you some of those resources so you can understand this is the route. This is the strategy in order to get away from this scenario or situation safely, right? Because we do not want anyone to be in harm's way when it comes to trying to do the right thing. It's very important. I was not aware that 1 in 7 men are affected as well. And I'll be honest, that number does not surprise me. It's a funny thing, even though I have never had a personal friend of mine or associate outwardly admit that they've experienced it as a man going through psychological incarceration or experiencing domestic abuse. It doesn't surprise me because most men suffer in silence. That's the reality. That's just how men operate. That's how we move, because we are working to be that pillar of strength. We're working to uphold an image. We're working to uphold our own egos. There's a lot of different things that come into play, right? That we could talk about. And like you say, we don't have time to go into all the details. But for the men as well, if that's you, remove yourself from the situation, from the scenario with caution and utilizing the resources. And I will also say, put your pride aside, put your ego aside, and just reach out for help, because that's not something that most men are willing to do, right? It's not an easy thing to do when you have this image that you want to uphold or this ego that you want to put forth, and then the reality is you need help. That's the reality, and that's okay. It doesn't make you less of a man. It doesn't make you less of a person. It just means you need help. And I would say reach out, get the right resources that you need. And for yourself, Dr. Doreen, because in my consulting experience and then also in my experience and knowledge in personalities and that sort of thing, most of the time, or a lot of times, organizations have this type of personality. And this specific type of personality or mindset is less likely to be aware of and heed emotion and things that they can't necessarily see, right? And they gravitate more towards what they would consider to be fact. And I really want to hone in and express that what they consider to be fact, right? Not necessarily what a more holistic picture of reality is, but what they consider to be fact. And what we're talking about is a lot of time legislation can be just that. A lot of organizations, whether it be government organizations or corporate organizations, I see it in larger corporations as well, Fortune 500 companies, to where the majority of the workforce and the majority of the societal population has this specific kind of personality type. So it can be a challenge sometimes expressing some things that may not be tangible to that person at that time. So for yourself, how do you convey or help that type of person or lawmakers, government officials recognize the need, right, or realize the need to identify and address psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse before it materializes or before they have what they perceive to be tangible evidence?
Thank you so much, Zoe, for that question. This is a really, really good question. But the simple answer is this: being trauma informed. That's what this is where all of this starts. If you are not trauma informed, then you are lacking the ability to recognize the unseen from the seen, because it is seen. Let me say that again. Being trauma informed allows you a different set of lens to be able to recognize the unseen from the seen, because it is seen. It's showing up differently. And because there's a lack of the ability to be recognize it, to bring trauma informed, it appears to be unseen, but it is seen. It manifests itself in 1.8 billion, 1.8 billion, $1.8 billion a year that a company is losing due to the impact of psychological incarceration. So it's showing up. But when you're not trauma informed and when you're not trained, you're thinking that this is just a profit loss problem.
That's good.
But it's not. It's a psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse problem. When we're looking at retention issues and why people are struggling to come to work and show up to work on time, we're thinking that this is an employee-employer relationship issue, and we're throwing all of these incentives at it. Well, if you come on time, you'll get a bonus. You get a signing bonus. Well, if we are approaching these problems with the wrong message due to misconception and lack of knowledge understanding and wisdom, then we cannot begin to have psychological incarceration unlocked. Which is why, as a psychological incarceration specialist, working with me allows you the opportunity to receive consulting that is specifically trauma informed. Not only that, that's one solution. The second pillar, or the second key to that solution, is that Divine Connection Network Association has a curated network of trauma-informed knowledge experts, so that an attorney, a judge, a government official, and companies do not have to look for these resources to address this issue that they now realize they have. They can come through Divine Connection Network Association instead of trying to go through disconnected systems. Number 3, because we are working with attorneys and judges and government officials, we provide continuing legal education credits through the South Carolina Bar to provide the awareness, the education, and the ethical compliance that all attorneys and judges need to be aware of this situation. And we also include in our rubric, Psychological Incarceration Unlocked, case-by-case studies where they bring to our courses. They're in person and or online. And we analyze so we can train you in real time how to recognize psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse through a trauma-informed lens, in addition to just a trauma-informed lens, with the wealth of 30 years of being in this profession, is going to provide you the opportunity to unlock what's inside you.
Awesome. I appreciate that answer, Dr. Doreen. I really do. Yep. And I love awareness, but having the ability to see through a different lens so that you can recognize or see what was previously unseen is a beautiful way to describe it. And I really appreciate that.
Absolutely, sir. We appreciate you being here on Psychological Incarceration Unlocked. I would like for you to say something about What Do Women Want conference that's coming up on Saturday, July the 26th. When you hear that title, What Do Women Want, and you being a man, understanding now that 1 in 7 men are impacted by psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse, what are your thoughts about this upcoming event? Because we know that you're going to be there, you're going to be one of the presenters as well. What is your thoughts about that now that we've had this unlocking conversation?
Yeah. Honestly, first is a bit of a joke, right? And you got to excuse my sense of humor, but that is an age-old question that I believe it'll bring a lot of people to the to the event, because they're like, man, if they can tell me that, I'll pay anything to find that out. If you could just explain that to me, right? But now moving forward with this new level of awareness that I have as well with the psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse, it's also understanding that the women in our lives show up the way they do, possibly because of trauma that they've experienced. Recognizing that can help us to understand them better. And one beautiful thing about it, and I'm a Christian, right? So I love the word, and all you're getting, get understanding. So in order to help us to love one another more effectively, to love one another more completely, that agape love, we have to have a level of understanding of one another so we can move through that process of understanding, kindness, right? To where we can eventually get to that brotherly love or that agape love. So from that perspective, now with my increased now level of awareness, it's really figuring out, not really understanding what women want, but understanding how to love them, how to really show up for the women in our lives. And then through that, right, we can really seek or have the bonds that we really want. And then, of course, just for the brothers, for the men that are going to be in the room and they're going to be coming to the event, it's going to be some fellowship, it's going to be some good time, and it's going to be some recognition as well. I hear, Bertie told me, right?
Yes, yeah. We're doing Man of War awards.
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
want to honor the men, especially Black men. We want to support Black families, Black businesses. That's very important in this day and time, to recognize Black men, to recognize Black businesses, and to build that in our communities so we can remain strong. And so we will be having Man of War awards celebrating and recognizing men that have taken the stand for their families. They have said that I'm going to lay hold, I'm going to pursue, and I will recover all.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Let's go. I'm excited for it. Yeah. I'm excited to be there and serve the men, serve the women as well. However I can serve. I'm here for it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Zoe, appreciate you being here. And now we're going to welcome our next guest. We know that we will be connecting with you very soon on Saturday, July the 26th, here in Florence, South Carolina. We will be over we have a double header that day. So in the morning, we'll be serving the women at 1951 Pisgah Road. And then we'll be over at the hotel, Homestead Hotel, Hilton Homestead Hotel on Radio Road in Florence for the afternoon. And so you can go to get your tickets at Divine Connection Network Association.com. You don't want to miss it. We have men, renowned men from different backgrounds coming to present knowledge, understanding, and wisdom to how to be better men, better fathers, better husbands, better community leaders. And of yours truly will also be presenting. And this will be an absolute time for you to gain the question, what do women want?
Thanks for having me, Dr. Doreen.
Thank you for being here with us, Zoe. We appreciate you, and we'll see you very soon.
Awesome. See you later.
Okay. All right. Coach Chef D, we welcome you to our show, Psychological Incarceration Unlocked, Luncheon. We appreciate you being here all the way from Louisiana. It's always a pleasure to reconnect with you, as always. So welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Chef D. Now you're going to need it. We're going to have to get the condensed version, because if you tell us everything, we'll be in an encyclopedia. You do so much. You're a celebrity chef. You're an author. You just goes on and on and on. So we welcome you, Chef D. Welcome. We can't hear you.
Got it on. I'm sorry, I still had it on mute. How you
Yes,
doing? How you doing, Ms. Doreen? Thank you for having me. Um,
sir.
I'm Chef Donald Smith from New Orleans, Louisiana. Like Ms. Doreen said, I'm involved in a lot of things, working with the youth, a restaurateur, a book author. I have my own spice line, my own wine. And I'm just trying to stay connected with the community, doing different things with the local culture of our community. If y'all know New Orleans culture, y'all know food, music, and dance is a part of our culture. So I'm just involved in all different aspects of the New Orleans culture.
Well, we salute you, celebrity chef Donald Smith. And you want to tell everyone how you are going to be serving with all your skills, and you're going to be bringing me my grits and shrimp all the way from Louisiana and cooking for us for our event coming up on Saturday, July the 26th. What do you want to say about all of this that's going on the 26th?
Yes, I'm excited about being there on the 26th as being you guys' guest chef. I'm bringing the flavor from New Orleans to Florence, South Carolina. I'm bringing ingredients from New Orleans. I'm bringing my own spices with me. So we just gonna be glad and grateful to be in Florence, South Carolina to feed y'all souls.
Yes, and you're also going to be presenting to the other Black men such as yourself that are in business, that want to be better men, better fathers, better husbands, better community leaders. How does that make you feel, and what would you like to say about that?
Oh, it's always great to share with the brethren and just let them know my experience, a little bit about my background, where I come from, even the struggles that I've been through to get to almost where I'm at today. Like we always say, we not where we used to be, but we glad, we not where we used to be, but we glad where we're going. So it's just a better step on going and to share with the brethren on where I've come from and where I'm going. My journey.
Absolutely. Yes, this is going to be a great opportunity. How do you feel about the opportunity to build Black businesses and build Black men?
Right now in this day and age, it's all about us as one, as a community. I mean, we have to build each other up. Brothers have to build brothers up. Brothers, we have to continue to build each other up. Like they was taught again here, we took brick from brick, we moved brick from here and move a brick here. So we keep building one foundation and then move them bricks and build another foundation. We just keep on building brothers up to build better areas in our community.
Absolutely. Now, Chef D, you and I go back a while.
Yes, ma'am.
You want to tell everyone about that experience?
Oh yeah, that was one of the greatest experiences I had. It was during COVID, and we was able to connect with the youth inside of the Carolina prison system. And we done, I think it was a 2 day podcast or
3-day conference.
a 3 day conference where we did 3 days over the internet with the kids incarcerated, and like I say, in the South Carolina prison system, and we was able to talk to them. It was me and three other guys, and we talked to the young brothers inside the prison system. And I think a lot of them, we were supposed to go inside the system, but it was COVID, and we couldn't get into the system right then. So we're still working on to getting in the system one day in the South Carolina area.
Yes, we most definitely are, and that was just an award, a rewarding experience to see those young men. Meeting a celebrity chef such as yourself, a Black businessman, and you told your story, and I think it was just an opportunity for them to open up their eyes to see what is possible, which is why now you have agreed to travel all the way from Louisiana to South Carolina to present your amazing cuisine, but also to present your story. So
Yes,
we know
ma'am.
you can't tell us everything that you're going to say in What Do Women Want conference. But just give us a little tidbit, Chef D. Just give us a little tidbit of your story, the most powerful thing that you want to share tonight here this evening on psychological incarceration, our luncheon, psychological incarceration unlocked luncheon. What is the one little thing you want to share?
I'm gonna just share, when I first went into, I've been in business over 30 years. When I opened my first restaurant in Oakland, California in 2021, that was my first brick and mortar restaurant. And then like a year and a half later, I got into a terrible car accident that I didn't know I was gonna be able to walk again. I went from a wheelchair to a walker, and God just, got me able to walking back. Like I have a little dip when I walk, but I am able to walk. I mean, I'm good, and it just gave me to build my strength back up to just go on. I went from that restaurant to closing it down, having my mother, who is my right hand person, to close that restaurant down, and we started all over again, and we're still moving and still kicking along right now.
Wow, such a beautiful story. So you actually went from a wheelchair to walking. And you know what? When we talk about that experience that you had, and as we related to psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse, you were in a limited, constricted area. You were in a limited wheelchair. You were limited. You were restricted. You just said you could not physically walk. So when you hear that 1 in 4 women are being impacted by psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse as it relates to a female intimate partner relationship with a male intimate partner, and then understanding that actually 1 in 7 men are also impacted by psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse. And when you look at from the context of you being constricted and confined to that wheelchair, when you hear those numbers and how does that make you feel that you now understand that 1 in 7 men are just like that? They feel like they can't move. They feel like they're restricted, constricted. They don't know how to come out. They probably don't even know what they're in. And they may have be suffering in silence, just like you were in that wheelchair. You could not get out. You could not walk. What would you like to say to those men and to those women that are being impacted right now by psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse?
I mean, and it's only not domestic abuse. I mean, it's not only when you say the abuse. I mean, some men are verbally abusive by and not even being physical abusive, and it's almost the same thing. When you're physical, when you verbally abused by a woman, it can really be just as much as her putting her hands on you. I mean, I was in a relationship like that. I never shared that with you before, but verbally being in a relationship when a woman is verbally beating you and beating you with her tongue is almost as her physically beating you because you don't, know how to get out of that situation. So it's a real it's to me it's a tough time. And by me being confined to that wheelchair and being confined to a relationship like that, it's showing me a different way on life on how to deal with women today. Some women are, so used to domestic abuse and so used to a man tantalizing them with the way that he talks. So when you talk kindly to a woman or try to be, they don't understand that. So you still now trying to, teach women on how to understand a man when he's trying to be nice to you, and not all men are the same way that, are physical or verbally abusive.
Yes, sir. And we appreciate you being so transparent on the platform this afternoon, with our psychological incarceration unlocked luncheon. And I'm very grateful that you agreed to come on and share your story, because 1 in 7 men are being impacted. And you're absolutely right. Verbal abuse is one of the methods that female intimate partners use against that male intimate partner, which produces psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse. So domestic abuse is the unseen, and then it manifests, as you said, to domestic violence, which is the seen. And so many men, as you've stated, we may not see the physical manifestation, which is known as domestic violence, but behind the scenes in the home, there is psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse going on. And one of those methods is verbal abuse. And as you stated, where the female intimate partner is using manipulation, power, and control and coercion to basically totally gain even more power and control over the male intimate partner, mentally, emotionally, even financially, and the list just keeps going. So you said that you did experience that. Is that a fair statement, that that's what you were experiencing, but really didn't know what you was experiencing?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I experienced that. I mean, like I said, verbal abuse is real. It's real. It's just like mental illness is real. Verbal abuse in a relationship between a man and a woman is real, and I have experienced that before. Also, yes, ma'am.
So when you hear the title of our conference, and of course you have the graphic, it's all over social media, what do women want? Men's conference. What are you hoping to gain personally? We know that you're going to be sharing your story, but what are you hoping to gain personally and walk away with? What keys are you looking to walk away with to unlock what's inside you?
Again, still, as a man getting with other male figures, I mean, it's always a good point where we can share stories with each other. Somebody might share one of their stories that I can grab hold from something from what they've been through, and or some of their good partners that they do in their relationship that I can grab hold on to use into the relationship that I'm into. So it's just always, it's always a learning partner. Because it wasn't a textbook wrote for how to be a man or how to be a woman. So every day in life, we learn something different. So coming to this conference, I'm just looking to grow my strength and myself on how to be a better man.
So you still have a desire to be a better man?
Yes, ma'am. Every day we should want to be a better man, a better person, not just a better man, just a better person in general.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, because for so many, trauma often causes men and women to just not want better, because trauma has a way of incarcerating you
Yeah.
mentally, emotionally, which is psychological incarceration due to domestic abuse. It does have a way of incarcerating you. So to hear you say that you're hoping against hope, that you are still hopeful to, and you still have the desire to be a better man, and then you're coming to this event with other men with the same desire, and that you're expecting change within yourself, psychological change within yourself, and having the opportunity to really start unlocking maybe some of that trauma by talking with other men. That is a huge thing, and I honor you for that, for being that transparent here to this, in our luncheon.
Thank you. I'm glad once, when we get there and have everything, everybody get together and we're going to have a great time.
Absolutely, sir. So we thank you again. That is going to be our double header. For those that are watching, you can visit Divine Connection Network Association to get your ticket right now. Chef D, you're going to tell them, give them some what you're going to be cooking. Because I tell you what, that menu is awesome. You just tell them the menu. What's the menu, Chef D?
I don't even have the menu in front of me. Do you have it? I didn't even bring it in front.
How about this? They just gonna have to come and see.
They gotta come and see, yeah.
It's gonna be amazing. This man knows how to cook. He's been cooking, like he said, 30 years. Has won many awards and is among some of the greatest celebrities of our time. So you just gonna have to come and see. And he has special seasonings that will be available to make all of our food, give us that little Louisiana flavor. So he's bringing all of that. He's bringing his own, in addition to that, his own ingredients to actually cook the food that he's serving. Plus, you'll be able to take the seasonings that he has there home with you so that you can implement it in your cooking. And Chef D does cooking classes, and so he does cooking classes for the youth. He does cooking classes for couples. He does cooking classes for men. So it's unlimited how you can connect with Chef D at this event. What Do Women Want on Saturday, July the 26th, and we will be in Florence, South Carolina. Visit our website, Divine Connection Network Association, and get your ticket today. We thank you for joining us here on Psychological Incarceration Unlocked. We're going to see you next time. Have a great one.
Thank you.